Live. My name is Ariel Caputo, and welcome to Deep in Love Talks. And tonight we have Bryan Rosenthal, who is the president of Can I Dream? And seeing what I do, his story and his movement pretty much touched my heart. So I'm really excited to share with you what he's doing tonight. So Bryan, I want to give you the floor. Will you tell us where you're from, a little bit about yourself, maybe your hobbies?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm really grateful for being here. Thank you for having me on.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I'd love to tell my story a little bit about what we do and how it kind of all came about. I grew up in LA, Southern California. I grew up, for lack of a better term, kind of a spoiled rich kid who kind of thought I knew everything about everything and didn't really know anything about anything. I grew up in a world where a lot of luxury was there, and so I got to experience what a lot of people might think of as the high life, so to speak. And I became, one of those people that pursued self-interest, money, trying to do the best for myself. And I guess, according to society, I succeeded in some ways, but I never found the fulfillment in life that I was looking for. I was unhappy. No matter how much financial success or accolades I got for what I did in the business world, I just never felt like my spirit was where it was supposed to be. And so I decided to stop doing that. My whole life as a kid, I looked up to people like Mother Teresa, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and talked a big game how one day I want to change the world, but I didn't really do anything. And so I said, okay, I've had success for myself, but it didn't bring me what I wanted. So I said, what do I want to do? I want to make a difference in the world, and nothing is more important than children. So I decided to start a foundation called the Can I Dream Foundation, which is a foundation for children's causes. Our mission is to make a better life for our children, thus creating a world full of love, abundance, and hope for the future. And that's kind of how I got to where I am, because, that's what makes me most happy. And I found peace and happiness in doing for others. So that's kind of why I'm here. Does that
So,
make sense?
yeah, I'm gonna go back a little step. You made it sound so easy. Were there, you did. Were there things that led you or pointed you in the direction of finding what your purpose or passion or direction might be? Were there passions, were there things you were already involved in, or was it a light bulb that went off and you're kind of like, hey, I should do this? What kind of...
It's a great question. One thing I omitted from my making it sound so easy is that although I lived a life that sounded great, grew up with money and around in LA, and this is great, and I made success for myself, but I also had a lot of failures in my life, and I hit the bottom in a lot of ways. And there were times in my life one time in particular, where I was so down and out that I couldn't afford anything for myself. I literally had to go to a food bank once in my life to have food given to me. And that always stuck with me. And I think I have a new perspective, or a different perspective, than a lot of folks that grew up in the kind of world I grew up in. Because I was on top, I've been on the bottom, and kind of everywhere in between, I realized what was most important. And that's kind of how I arrived here. I think lately, before I decided to start the Can I Dream Foundation, I was searching inside myself for some happiness, because I went after, like I was saying, all those things that I thought I needed to get. I fell down, I picked myself back up, I started succeeding financially or that kind of way, and I thought that was what I wanted, and I was just still no peace of mind, no direction or feeling like I had a sense of purpose. So I went inside myself, and for lack of a better term, I've had a spiritual awakening. There's just no other way to say it. And if anyone that knows me or grew up around me for any length of time, they'd be shocked to hear me say something like that. I'm someone that most people would describe as a very scientific orientated person, very logical type thinker. I'm very skeptical of a lot of the spiritual concepts that are out there, until I realized and had this awakening, if you will, that the only thing that makes me happy is giving to people. And something outside of myself helped me get there. And that's kind of the story, I guess. And so it wasn't so easy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. There's a quote that I share all the time, and that's just, our happiness increases with our service to others. It's plain and simple. Some people that come into, I am a suicide intervention coach, so I run an in-person support group, and I run an online chat room. And so many times after they told me their story, I said, okay, how did you help someone today? And they're like, but I didn't. And I said, exactly. Go help someone. Go spread love. Go pay it forward. Something small.
And you know, and for me, I discovered this for me personally. It was what made me happy. So it's not like I want to change the world and preach people into changing. I just want to set an example of what works for me.
Yeah.
When I learned that being in the moment is the most important thing, I realized that when I have a hard time staying in the moment, staying in the present, because I believe that's really all that's real, then if I have a hard time or I'm struggling with that, give to somebody, do something for somebody else, and then my mind is now occupied with something in the moment, and then it's all, you know, all that I give to myself. I mean, I'm full of those same type of sayings because there's something to all that.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's kind of, yeah.
I agree. I love it. So tell us about the organization then.
Great. Yeah, I mean, the Can I Dream Foundation, one thing, the reason I chose children's causes and not a specific cause, it's very conscious. One, I believe, and I'm not trying to quote Whitney Houston, but I believe the children are our future. And I think that the lyrics of that song are perfect. I mean, it really does make a lot of sense. Because if we don't invest in our children, then what chance do we have of a better tomorrow? You know, a lot of people, peers of mine or people younger or older, but once they become adults, it may be, for a lot of folks, maybe too late. They're already on their path. They already have their lessons to learn. And I think if we start with the young folks, then we really have a chance of a better tomorrow. And that's why also I didn't pick a specific cause, because there are way too many causes in this world for me to pigeonhole myself into just one. And so that we can mold ourselves as we grow into what seems to be the most important thing at the moment. So with that said, we give to large, wonderful organizations like St. Jude, Pediatric AIDS Foundation, but then we also have our own smaller projects that we're doing, and local projects. I've actually chosen the elementary school that's closest to where we're located, because one, you got to start at home, and two, they have a huge need. They're a low-income elementary school, and they need school supplies. They need we're starting a resiliency program where we teach them coping skills because they've been through a lot of trauma. We're going to have an art program that we're starting for them. And so it's really, you know, I'm trying to take on the world and make a better place, but also with the concept, you know, one step at a time. My friend always likes to ask me, how do you eat an elephant, or how do you eat a whale? That old saying, one bite at a time. And that's kind of how we do it. And that's who we are. That's what we're about. And I don't. It's not nothing, and no one involved in this organization. It's everyone that's involved. It's about doing something for others, as I said. And the one thing beyond just our mission statement, which is, you know, again, to make a better world for children, I believe, and this is kind of my hidden agenda, if you will, is 51%. That's all we need. If we can get 51% of everyone of all the world to agree that when I wake up today, I'm going to give as my first thought. It doesn't have to be everybody. It doesn't have to be 90% or 80% or even 60%, because if 51% of people decide I'm going to be a giver today as their first thought, then we have a world with more than enough abundance for everybody. So that's kind of the goals and the mission and what we do and where I'm coming from.
Nice. So I feel like we don't quite understand what Can I Dream Foundation is about. So you're a nonprofit.
Yes.
You are a middleman. Tell us.
Both. That's a good question, and I do want to clarify. So I'd like to. We're both. That's a good point you're making. In one sense, we are a middleman for larger organizations. I do that, one, because there's so many great ones out there that are already doing such good work, and we can support them. And two, we can do things at home and have control over our own projects. So we do both. Like I said, I think I can really change the world, make a difference, if I get one person to follow my example, and then they set an example. And so I know it sounds kind of maybe vague in a sense, but we have like I said, we have very specific projects that we do that are about helping children. Let me give you another example. Riley Ryder is a little girl who's she's suffering from leukemia. She's going through all the treatment. She was diagnosed in January, and her family needs around $20,000 in out-of-pocket expenses to pay for all the things that aren't covered. So what we've done is we're teamed up with them, and we're helping to raise money for that. So far, we've raised about $3,000 of the $20,000. So that's an example of one of the things that's our project. It's not a middleman type project. And I'll be very frank, in order to establish credibility, because there's so many charities, so many people out there doing good and some maybe not so good, I think part of the theory or the thinking in partnering up with some of those larger foundations was to bring credibility to us, so people can immediately see, okay, well, we know who St. Jude's is, we know who the Pediatric AIDS Foundation is, we know who Feeding America is, who's the Can I Dream Foundation? Okay, well, they raise money, they give it to them, and then they also do some other wonderful things. So this is, wow, who are these guys? We want to invest in them. And that's kind of the goal and why I've taken that approach, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. So I would imagine that you have to have some sort of screening process, too, as to what type of projects or individuals you will take on.
Yeah. I mean, of course.
I could send you 5 people right now that I'd be like, look into them, help them. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I sense that's where it's funny. That's why you maybe saw the apprehension. Because of the choice I've decided to make with my life, I have a hard time saying no to anybody.
Yeah.
So I'm apprehensive to say that, do we have a screening process? Yeah. The screening process it has to be ethical. It has to fall under our mission statement. And that's about it. It doesn't mean I'll get to it right away, or will be able to get to it right away. But if we believe in a cause and it makes sense to us, I'll at least try to find a way to get involved and support it in some way.
Gotcha.
There's no reason why not. Whether that means, okay, if we don't have time but we really believe in a particular cause, then maybe that means, okay, well, we set up a sustained funding donation of $20 a month. It may not be a lot, but at least we're still giving out energy to everything we believe in.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. So then the other side, how do people be involved who want to help, whether physically, financially, volunteer work, anyone who wants to help?
Another great question. Obviously, when people ask that question, you're always going to get well, we want people to help. I need people to, let me rephrase. The most important way someone can help us is to volunteer their time, energy in our cause, period. I know that everybody has lives. Everybody has their own agendas. So to ask people to volunteer their time and energy Sometimes it's not easy and it's not even possible. So if someone were to be able to or want to volunteer their time, energy, efforts, or anything that they could bring to the table, they can, of course, go to our website, www.cannidream.org, and go to the contact us and get a hold of us that way. Email us, info@cannidream.org as well. And they can get a hold of us, and we love anyone that wants to volunteer their time, help out, anything that they may be able to bring to the table, be it an art teacher or anything. It could be anyone, because everybody has something to give. Now, with that said, though, most people, like I said, have an agenda. So what are we after? I mean, who am I kidding? The only way to sustain what we're doing in the society we live in is through donations. We need money.
Yeah.
This money that I'm talking about is money that goes directly to making children's lives better or saving their lives. And so if people want to do that, then they can go to our website again, Can I Dream, CANNIDream.org, and make a donation. Or they can contact me. And one thing I think is important to also say, because when you're asking someone to reach into their pocket, and I don't care if it's 50 cents, which is very important to us, or $1 million, which is also very important to us, if they're going to do that, they want to know that they're giving to somebody or an organization that has their interests at heart. And so I ask everybody that's listening, that hears me, to challenge me, contact me, question me. I mean, that's the only way we're going to get this done. And so I encourage anybody that is genuinely interested in making a difference to contact me. That's the best way we can help. Challenge me, ask me anything you like, because I'll meet the challenge, or I'll find a solution. That's my job.
Now, I remember you saying you were raised in California. Where are you guys currently based?
We're up in the Bay Area, a little town called Vallejo, which is in between, say, Napa and San Francisco. I'm actually glad you brought that up, because we were hit by the earthquake as well. I'm actually about 2 miles from the epicenter in American Canyon, Napa, and most of the media pays attention to Napa. And so we also set up, because it does fall under our mission statement of making the world a better place for kids, is we set up an earthquake relief fund for Vallejo. They're not getting enough attention. I met with the Red Cross, Salvation Army, and they can do so much. But there's a lot of folks in this low-income area that don't have insurance. The DWP or PG&E is what it is up here. They won't turn on their power because they have to replace their water heater. They can't afford to replace their water heater. They don't have water and power. Still, since the earthquake. So these are the things we have to do. To help. We got to start at home. I got to start with myself, and so that's why I set that up. And so that's where we are.
Gotcha. Nice. Well, I know several people that I'm sure will be glad to at least contact you to jump on board. I have people that contact me all the time saying, I want to help, I want to give back, connect me to some sort of charity. So I'm always very happy when I connect with someone, because I'm like, okay, perfect. You go there, meet.
I can't, there aren't really any words that I could say how grateful I am to hear that. So anything anyone can do, that's what inspires me. That's what keeps me getting up in the morning, is knowing I'm not the only one out there.
For sure, and you're not. I'll talk about a couple long-term goals. Do you guys have bigger, better, goals that you're reaching for down the road?
Yeah, we do. We have some really big things on the horizon that some things are not in place, so I can't get into too many details. But we're in Vallejo, which is a little area in the Bay Area. We don't want to stay in just the Bay Area. So as far as a broad perspective, there should be and there will be a Can I Dream Foundation in every major area in the country. And that's the goal, is this to be a nationwide movement, and then potentially maybe a worldwide movement. But for the time being, the goal is to go nationwide, spread this as far out as we can, and we also we're going to have some cool events that we also have coming up as well. And I don't know if that fits under long-term goals, but it kind of does, because we want to make them annual. And when I say events, we're talking not just a little fundraiser, but major festivals with some big celebrities and concerts and some really cool stuff. Because, you know, the other thing that I think is important, you know, we're talking about a lot of serious stuff. What could be more important than kids having fun? You know, if you can't have fun and laugh and have a good time, what's the point? And I think there's nothing more important than having kids running around and smiling and laughing. And it doesn't take much to make them smile or laugh. So we're going to do a lot of stuff as far as getting out there and having cool, fun events. And it maybe isn't only just for kids in need. It's just for everybody, because there's a kid in all of us. So our long-term goal is to be everywhere. And the only way we can do that is from people supporting us and volunteering their time, energy, and effort and contributions.
Nice. I want to talk to you a minute about you. Do you have any personal life mantras or quotes that you live by? I know you were talking about earlier about just giving, spreading love, but is there a specific quote or mantra that you say or repeat often?
Yeah, there's a couple. One I never get right, even though even though I think about it a lot. Yeah, I don't know if anybody knows. Maybe you do, but if anyone out there knows who Kid President is, and if anyone doesn't know who he is, I highly recommend you Google, YouTube Kid President. He's awesome. And one of the things he uses the word awesome a lot, but one of his sayings is something to the effect of, if you make today awesome for somebody, if everybody makes today awesome for somebody else, it'll be awesome for everybody. And I think you get the point. I don't know if I got the words exactly right, but that's what I think about. And that's the kid in me. But there's also one other saying that is very, very important to me, that I don't know if I think about it every day as a mantra, but I definitely think about it often, and it always centers me, reminds me of, you know, what it's all about. And it's Martin Luther King. He said, the ultimate measure of a man or woman, I'll paraphrase, is not where you stand in moments of comfort and convenience, but rather where you stand in moments of challenge and controversy. And that says it all to me. I mean, that defines who I am. You know, who you are, what you do. You know, and where do you stand in those tough moments? It's real easy to talk when things are easy, but when there's a challenge or controversy, you know, who are you and where do you stand? So that's what's most important to me, and I think about that a lot.
That's awesome. I love both of those. I use one of my favorites is I always say, you can get to the top of Mount Everest with baby steps. That's something you said very similar earlier. You small steps can get you all.
One bite at, how to eat a whale, one bite at a time. It's the same concept.
Exactly, the same thing. Or the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Yep.
All pushing forward. So, and then on that note, what advice would you give to someone who is aspiring to start their own organization or their own movement? A lot of people are like, it's too much work, or it's so overwhelming, or how do I do it? And I'm like, you just start.
I am so glad you brought that up, because so many, I know you understand, and I understand the same concept. How many people come up to me and say, "Oh, it's so difficult. It costs so much money. It's so aggravating." BS. Okay, it's simple. Just Nike. Just do it.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated. It's not that. It's the only thing is the nerves or the fear. You know, I think if you just blindly go for it, that's all I can say. There's really when you have a cause that is so righteous and pure, what the heck can stop you?
Exactly.
How can anyone look and judge what you're doing? And if they do, you don't want them around. What you're going to find is, and what I've found, is you're only going to attract more people that are just like you and support what you're doing. Absolutely. If you start something and seed something beautiful and feed it little bit at a time, it will grow. You know, and so it goes back to what we were also talking about. If you want to start something like this, it's a huge, big, giant thing. That's fine. Just start one step at a time.
Yeah.
Do the research. What kind of paperwork do I need?
Right.
Google it. The information's all there. I mean, you don't have to be a lawyer and have a bunch of. It's really easy. And if anyone needs help, call me, email me. I'll help you.
Nice.
That's my job.
I love it. I published a book this summer, and so I get this question all the time: how do I write a book? And I'm like, you just start. You got a paper.
Grab a pencil and a piece of paper.
You just have to start. And once you get going and you get the momentum going, like you said, you become passionate about it. People who else are too start coming on board. They see that momentum, they see that energy, they see those goals, and they want to be a part of it too. I believe everyone inherently wants to do good, wants to do, over time we become hardened or we go through different life situations, and that's a different story. But inherently we all want to help. We all want to better the world around us. And so naturally when we see that, we're like, let's get on board.
I mean, you just nailed it. And I remember last week's show that I was watching, this was kind of mentioned. But, I believe, and this really ties it in, children learn what they live. And that's all of us. We were all children at one point. We were all blank CDs. And whatever we're taught is what we learn.
Right.
And it's that simple. I really think it's that easy and that simple. It's not. It's kind of like it's simple but hard.
Yeah. Well, I've heard that there's 3 steps, and hopefully I don't mix them up right now. It's determination, action, commitment. So you decide what you want to do, and I'm not saying to create this organization you just sit there and you dream about it and you wish about it and you talk about it. You actually got to make some action, take some action, make some baby steps every single day. And then there's the commitment aspect. You've made this decision, and now you need to stick to it. It's not going to happen in one night, 1 week, 1 month. It's going to take time, so you stick with it. Over time, your dreams can happen. There's no magical snap and it's there. It takes time.
I think you also mentioned the commitment is such an important word. I mean, that really is the key. One of the things that I've naturally have, I guess, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and the one strength I think I'm fortunate to have is perseverance. I don't really quit, no matter how hard it gets. I'm so anti-quitting. And I think that's the same thing as commitment. If you just commit, that means no matter how hard it is, you're going to see this thing out until the end. And that's all it takes is that kind of drive. And anybody that does that, whatever their cause is, or even if it's something for themselves, a goal that they have, if you're committed and you don't give up, you'll get there, or you'll get somewhere good.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me, any step in any direction is better than no step. Even if you find out you're going the wrong way, you're going to find out. But if you stay in one spot, you'll never know.
That's right. That's right. I totally agree. If you don't, otherwise you're not going to learn anything. How do you learn anything if you don't move?
Right. And I think it's very important to have deadlines. Like that's what I was asking about your projects. If you have these set goals, if you're then you can be like, okay, I'm going to reach this. Whatever it takes, I'm going to get there. I'm going to publish my book by my birthday, by June. So I'm going to get that done. Then you just get so focused and so driven to get it accomplished.
It really, I so agree. It's really that simple. It's just setting a goal and committing to it, being determined, putting it into action, and getting there.
Oh, so before we end, have you had a moment that you can think back to where you probably worked a lot or took a lot of your time, but the expression on their face or the response via email or whatever the feedback was where you were just like, you know what, that was amazing. That moment right there was worth it to me. I know I have a few of those like aha moments.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because that is I'm not money motivated. I'm smile motivated. I mean, that's what motivates me. So, I have in a short amount of time, I already have so many of those moments. One in particular is, I mentioned Riley Ryder, this little girl who's fighting leukemia, and I just did it because I felt like I had to help. It's just, and then to get the kind of appreciation and response, I'm getting emotional even thinking about it, the response I got from, her family and her mom thanking me. I mean, she inspires me. She's the hero, this kid that, fights every day with a smile and doesn't think twice about it. And they're thanking me. I mean, that's the reason I do it. And then on something a little less significant, when I'm at the farmer's market with our information booth and I hand a kid a sticker and they put a big smile on their face, I think to myself, wow, this is why I do this. It's that
Right.
simple. I mean, it's amazing how a sticker can make a kid that happy, and it's
Yeah.
so easy. So those are a couple examples.
I love it. There's a quote by Joe Clark, one of my all-time favorites. It's peace, happiness, no, it's happiness, peace of mind, fulfillment. The most priceless of human treasures are available to those who do good in the world around them. It's just that simple. Go
Absolutely.
spread love.
Absolutely.
Go help others.
Yeah, 51%. That's all we need.
Yeah, I agree. I very much agree. Well, Bryan, it has been an absolute pleasure. Is there any last words or piece of advice you would like to leave with our audience today?
I just am, again, I'm so grateful. One last thought is the one lesson I learn every day is I heard the word gratitude and gratefulness a lot in my life till I
Yeah,
started doing this. I didn't realize what it meant, and I'm just so grateful. So when I say the words thank you, those are not words. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for letting me talk about this stuff. Thank you for doing what you do, for all the people you help. I mean, this is why I'm here. This is my purpose, and I'm just grateful. So that's how I'd like to leave it.
you seem to give a lot. Do you have something that fuels you? For me, I listen to a podcast every single morning,
Well,
or I read motivational books. So, do you have something that
there
what
are.
you?
Yes, there are a couple. One, music is very much a part of my life.
Nice.
It's very, very inspirational. I feel like I have an extremely eclectic taste in music. For the LA Morning to Come eclectic fans, I think I'm like two eclectics over from that. So music is very big, and then I've also discovered, meditation has become a part of my life. I'm laughing because no one would ever dream I would say such a thing. But music and meditation are things I do for myself to keep myself where I need to be.
Love it. I completely agree. I like to start my day with 10 minutes of just, breathing it all in, starting, because everything is here. It's inner, it comes from inside you, your inner spirit. Go. And I like to do the same thing for ending my evening, gathering it all up. Thank you for everything that has happened. Thank you for this wonderful day. And then I try to set the tone for tomorrow, you know. Because it's important that we do that, because I feel we as givers, it's very easy for us just to go, go, go until we become depleted. So it's
Well,
very important that we
I think it's important for balance sake. I mean, having a
absolutely, there's the
beginning,
perfect
middle,
word.
and an end is brings balance, and having balance makes me able to be more nurturing to folks around me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100% agree. Thank you very much, Bryan. It's been an
Thank you.
absolute pleasure. I
Absolutely.
cannot wait to actually get off this call and to go post your information. So um,
Thanks.
I hope to see you. I want to stay in contact. I want to follow what you're doing.
Vice
Um,
versa. I want to follow what you're doing, and I want to help any way in what you're doing, and maybe bring some of what you're doing to the Bay Area, perhaps.
sure, sure. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Wish
thank
you all the
you.
best. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.